So, as we talk about being spiritual, and I went through that phase where I'm like, oh, I'm just a spiritual, but I'm just in this body. I really had to say, okay, I need to be in the body. I need to bring my soul in and enjoy this life that I have because not every soul gets the chance to come to Earth or wants to come to Earth. And so, how can I embody it and use all of the resources that Mother Earth has given us?
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here. Yes, we're the best podcast in the world. In fact, we actually are number 25 best in the world spiritual podcast according to FeedSpot last time I checked. Okay, so if we've gone higher, it's possible, or we've gone lower. Who knows? But like we're a top podcast, guys, for real. And I'm just so grateful for our guest today. She is amazing. I mean, I have not even spent that much time with her work, with her channeling. She channels druids. What's that, right? Like, oh my God, that's not that common. And so I'm grateful that we'll be with her today. We will have messages at a minimum from the druids today. And we'll also get a lot of wisdom from her because she's just one of those naturally wise people over all lifetimes. But of course, she learned a lot in this lifetime that she has to share with you, and it'll be helpful to you in moving forward with your purpose, your life, your fulfillment, and getting the vibrations and the energies that you really desire and to get infused with. Second half of the show, though, we're going to do double your revenue for your healing business, for your visionary healing business, or whatever kind of spiritual business you have. You'll see some keys to it because I'll be giving some coaching and energy scanning and all that good stuff with Katherine in the second half. And I'm really looking forward to that as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Katherine, I'm so grateful to have you. Katherine Flynn, I should say your full name at least. Like Katherine Flynn, I'm so grateful to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Daniel. I was really looking forward to this. You've got a great podcast, and I love the work you do.
Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, and I always appreciate you've got that lit candle in the background there. That's
Mhm.
a calling card for a lot of
Yeah.
people like candles. So well, not that many, but I'm saying people do that. But to have it also on camera, doing these podcasts is and your other calls, but like it's pretty cool. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that you bring these touches. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, it's all about the elements, right? And so I have, two of
Right.
them back there so that people can see.
Right. Yeah, you got your plant, you got the
Mhm.
fire, and sort of like earth and fire, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. Okay.
Yeah, earth and fire. Yeah, a little hard to do water and then air's all around us, but
Yeah, just get a little waterfall back
yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, it ended up being wet the whole time. I don't know if you recall.
Yep, yep. So let's talk about the now on one of the podcasts, and I'd like to cross, promote. I'm just going to I'm very transparent on this. So cross promoting some of my other podcasts. I got one with Joanne Macco, which may or may not have released by the time this one comes out. But anyway, we were talking about all kinds of things, and she's amazing. And so what we talked about in part was, at this time anyway, there's always wars going on this planet, but like, now, we're here in the U.S. and now this whole U.S. thing, Iran, whatever. Okay, I don't even like to call whatever they say it is, but like, anyway, we've got that going on, and we've got all the things going on with, you know, like people are saying this for a long time. Everything's collapsing, and the new Earth is coming, and or it's emerging, and it's already here, or whatever. All the different things people say. And one of the things you talk about, yeah, is the elementals and the energetic wisdom of the earth. I wrote that down in my notes here to talk about that. So I'm going to start there because on that other episode, the reason why I brought it up is she talked about like, yeah, she's talked to so many people, like so many elders and this, that on the planet, and all that stuff. And she's like, yeah, they tell me Mother Gaia's crying, and like we're with the strip mining, this, that, all the things that are going on, and I think a lot of times we don't realize the interconnectedness of everything. And so I was wondering, how you help people, what you share around a lot of times we get so caught up. We just want to be in the high energies, and maybe we're not always as focused on the earth energy. So tell us how you integrate like the earth energy with all the high channel frequency channeling stuff and all that. I'd love to hear something about that.
Yeah. So the Druids are all about Earth. They lived on Earth for many, many centuries. And so as I channel them and work with them, they really connect back to like yes, we are all spiritual beings, but we're also human, which our bodies are Earth. And so we have to really lean into Earth and the elements and really allow for those energies to support us because, we can't live on energy alone, even though I'm sure there's a couple people out there that can, but the majority of us, we need food, which comes from earth. We need water, which comes from earth. So we need air. What's the one thing you can't live without? And everyone goes, water, because that's what we all learned in second grade. Well, actually it's air, because if we couldn't breathe, it'd end a lot sooner than without water. And so, there's a lot of this pushing with the druids in this sense of like really lean into the elements that are there so they can support you. Because Mother Earth and Gaia, she's a mother. She's the mother to all of us. We're all part of her, and she just wants to nurture us through plants and water and air and what she can provide and the energies of each of those. And so when I work with people, we really lean into each of the elements and we really allow for us to embody those energies to allow for us to, find that foundation of earth and to look at our, beliefs and what serves us with water and then, what is our life force energy or balance with air. And then, fire's all about transformation and that spark. Like what makes that spark just, ignite inside of you and go, yes, this is where I want to go and what I want to do. So, as we talk about being spiritual, and I went through that phase where I'm like, oh, I'm just a spiritual, but I'm just in this body. I really had to say, okay, I need to be in the body. I need to bring my soul in and enjoy this life that I have because not every soul gets the chance to come to Earth or wants to come to Earth. And so, how can I embody it and use all of the resources that Mother Earth has given us to really have a fun, amazing, and joyful life?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, just yeah, try going without air, more than just a few minutes or whatever. For most of us, we're gonna pass out, we
Hmm.
won't take too long, you'll be out.
Exactly.
That was so I mean like so the my I'm not that I'm saying that like this is dominating my thoughts, but I'm like, so you kind of alluded to this or you said it like, well, does that mean we should be more air energy than everything else? Because that, after all, elementally, that's how, but then again, I could argue you're wrong, but I could argue anybody's wrong about anything because we're 80% water, they say, or whatever. So you can't
Mhm.
really live without water. You wouldn't even exist. So like,
Yeah.
we can really make all kinds of arguments for the different elements, right? I mean, you need the spark of life, or we never would have been created in the first place.
Yeah. And everybody has their favorite. Everyone's like, no, it's all about, fire for me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that tends to be an easy element to work with someone on, so water's the tough one for them, whichever is the opposite. But yeah, they're all important and we all connect. It's just about, when do we need that resource and when do maybe we're already connected and we don't need to really kind of bring it forth as much.
Yeah, because I think most light worker type of people, most people that are really like the more yin, spiritual. And of course, then that's more water, air type of energy, right? And they do.
Mhm.
They need to bring on more fire and and steel energy or earth and whatever you want to call it. But like, I was. That's usually what I find is neglected or not strong enough. And most of the people that I would work on is like, you need more fire, you need more steeliness to you. And
Yeah.
that's typically what is needed more than the water and the air
Mhm.
energy. But then again, we have people listen to this podcast. They're like, "You kidding me? I've been fire and steel all my life. I'm just starting to wake up." And like that's true too. There are some people that are in that place where it's totally about integrating more of the air and water energy and all that. And it's just kind of depends where we're at. And some people are more integrated, right? So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It's very much that where each person is, and where you are now might be different than where you are, next year. But at least you're aware of kind of where you are to find that balance again.
Yeah. So is everybody, because some people I've talked to,
Mhm.
I'm like, so what are you? What do you? How much air do you got going on for you, or how much fire? This, that, and like most people it goes over their head. They're like, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about." And like, elementally, they still don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, I'm saying, is it like energy? Oh, okay, I got it, right. And so, yeah, how much of that energy do you have, going on for yourself? And what would
Mhm.
serve you, right? Like, what would serve you
Yes.
better, to have a little bit more, of? And if you guys want to share it, if it's somewhere where you can share a comment, I'd love to hear. It's fun to get your interactions and
Hmm.
which one do you feel has become toxic? Maybe even like, yeah, but so much in the air, I want to disappear, and or whatever. And like, because I feel like we can overdo certain elements for our system, or based on like who we are and how we're authentically meant to flow. That's sort of how I see it. I don't know, Dad. How do you see it as far as
Yeah.
like the balance of the different elements within
Yeah.
the system? Yeah.
So I see each element kind of offers a section of our life. And so when we need to lean into one over another one, there's probably a misbalance in that one. So for example, like earth, I look at as our foundation. What is our pillars that makes us who we are? So if you think of a house, what is that foundation of that house made out of? What are your beliefs? What are your morals? What are the things that you say, this makes me who I am? So I always say that that's Earth. And some people can tell me exactly this is who I am. Other people are like, well, like I was taught this, or I was shown this, or maybe I'm this, or maybe I'm that. And so they're a little more wishy-washy. And I'm like, okay, we need to really connect in with Earth and re-ground down into the Earth. So Earth is always about our foundation and that. And then you move to water, and people will say, especially those that are like, I am not a water person. They're like, I'm a mountain person. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You're more Earth. But then I'll talk about, okay, what do you need to let go of? A lot of them hold on to more stuff, or can't let go of an emotion or an event that happened in their life or forgive. And so it's like, hey, what do we need to clear out? Water naturally cleanses. So we'll spend more time with water. I'll have them go and like put their feet into a stream or a lake or a body of water, or even just go take a bath, just really submerge
Right.
yourself and feel that water. And so that's the next section is like, how can you work from there? Then when, Earth, mentioned was life force energy, but it's also about balance, harmony. So do you have a work-life balance? Are you a workaholic or are you someone that, puts more time into their personal life? Do you spend more time in your hobbies and with your family? Where is that misbalance at that allows you to say, oh, I'm ready to go. You wake up the morning and go, yes, I'm ready. And then fire, you see that in where are their passions. So that spark that says, I need to go and do that, the thing that they love to do. And so when they're misaligned in fire, they'll find that every day they're like, well, it's another day where I have to go to work. But it's like, even if they have a job maybe they don't love as much, but if they have maybe a hobby, like maybe they coach their child's soccer team and they love that. They love being out there on the field, or perhaps they're into something creative like woodworking, or maybe they love to, garden. So you see that they're out there, as long as they can find that thing that really ignites them and helps them transform, they'll find that. So every person is different in what element connects them to. But if you look at your life overall, you can see where maybe you're lacking in a certain area, and you're going to find that's naturally going to connect into the element, and then that's the element you need to lean into to really bring all of them back into balance again.
Mm. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Yeah. So, yeah, because if you naturally embody more, whatever, water or whatever, maybe you're
Mhm.
gonna um let go of some of that fire, right? Or,
Yeah.
like some of yeah, where the fire energy has just been so overdone. Like, we need more fire, screw the water, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. And then, so let's talk. Yeah, I mean, you're starting to talk about it now, but let's talk more practically now as we talk
Mhm.
about, working with the the elemental energies and all that, and talking about too, like with the work you do with the Druids, how does it all kind of work together to practically help, the people that you serve? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So within channeling the druids, I do have conversations with people in the druids. So they're channeled sessions where they can ask them about their own life and be given messages and information that's directly from them that really allows for them to sit and, based on your life path and purpose. These are the things that the druids would like you to be aware of. Maybe there's something you need to relook at or switch or change or lean into more, or, maybe it's an emotion of like just start trusting or not live in so much fear. So it's all individual for each person. And then we kind of allow for that a little time afterwards to really say, okay, how does this work within your life? Because we know integration can sometimes be the hardest part. And as I'm sure most of your listeners have seen before, is that when we channel sometimes in a way that's not as humanized. So we kind of humanize it then and allow for people to go, oh, that's what's going on in my life. Okay, get that. And the other way that I really help with people is really leaning into the element side because we'll hit it a little bit when I'm channeling, but when we can really work with each element for 2 weeks. I meet with people 6 times over 12 weeks, and it really allows for them to lean into that part of their life and that energy to decide, okay, what shifts do I need to make? What needs to change? And it's really fun that in the weeks of each element, water's the big one where people, I'll say, okay, it's going to get really emotional. Like you're going to start triggering a lot more. Like that energy's coming, and they'll be like, no, don't worry about it. Oh, it'll be fine. And never fails. They're like, that was a rough week. And I'm like, okay,
Right. Right, right.
So I had a client one time who had a big family event, and I'm like, let's push off so water's after that, not during that, because that might not work out so well. Um, but it's really about, leaning more into that. And because I want everyone to live a really happy, vibrant life. I've walked this journey for many, many years. And so I've leaned into each of the elements. And so I've gotten to where I love life. I love getting out of bed. I enjoy what I do. I have a great balance with friends and family, and I want everyone else to have that same experience because life is meant to be fun. It can be hard. There can be things that come along our way, but it's about just this experience that each one of us are able to have. And so I want everyone to kind of look at it as, yes, I have this amazing life instead of, oh, well, here I am again, another day.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
So,
Right, right, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, thanks for sharing that, and yeah, and we'll talk more and more about all this. But first, before we get too far ahead, I do want to actually ask because most people, including myself to some degree, I don't have limited knowledge. But like, let's talk about what this the Druids is all about. What is that all
yeah.
about? Some people might be like, "What is that?" They're
Yeah.
Googling it right now.
Yeah, yeah. So the Druids, if you look at them as a culture on Earth, they were on Earth from about 300 BC to approximately 1400 AD, and they ended up in what we now know as Ireland and Scotland. They were healers of their time. And so they really allowed people to connect in with the elements, and they, healed with herbs, and they connected in with just what Earth provided. And so that's really what they want people to understand now is that life, when you come in here, Mother Earth is going to provide what you need to survive. She can help heal through energy. She can help heal through herbs. She can really allow for you to live that aligned life because they talk a lot about your life path and life purpose. Because I feel like sometimes we all get here and we're born and then we grow up, through our childhoods, and then all of us go, okay, now what? And so it's like, okay, what do I do now? What job do I take? Am I in a relationship? Am I going to move? And so they're saying, what is truly your soul leading you to do? Instead of what is the noise around you saying that you should do. And so that's really what they want to help people with is to live in true alignment to where your soul wants you to go and what you decided you wanted to accomplish in this life.
Great. Great. That's helpful. And so So yeah, so we're tapping, and so what got you tapped into this? Because I know you've been tapping into and working with the Druids for a long time,
Mhm.
but as I read in your bio, and I kind of know this about you, you start with tarot or whatever tarot, and like a lot of people, you start with something that's a little bit safer, right? Like, I'll just do some, and so. For people that are like, yeah, just another day, and they're sort of there, but they are spiritually awakening. There's some people that are in that camp or whatever. They want to lean more into the woo side of their life, and wow, there's this thing I keep not, I'll get to it later. I always hear like things
Mhm.
like that, right? I'll do that later, and then later becomes never for some of them. I mean,
Mhm.
so what kind of like did you come kicking and screaming into doing all this work you do now, or how did it?
Uh,
Tell us a little bit about that journey.
yeah, maybe not kicking and screaming, but at times I feel like I was drug. So,
Okay.
I started with tarot. Yeah, that is true. I had went to a class. I had never taken a tarot class before. Didn't even own a deck of cards. I had to buy a deck of cards for the class that I went to. And it was this really amazing experience where I read someone and she's like, my God, you hit it spot on, except my necklace came from, my husband for my birthday versus my anniversary. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. And so as I began to hone my psychic abilities and
Mhm.
really connected in with that, then one day, unexpectedly, when I was reading tarot, I started channeling. And so I didn't, work at it, I didn't push at it, but it just kind of naturally happened. And then I really had to hone that skill. And then I noticed the druids were around me and they were starting to become more prevalent, especially when you see this dark cloaked figure you think, okay, who is this? Like, he looks a little scary. Why is he here? But he would never leave. And, my guides would be like, he's fine. What's the problem? And I'm like, okay, this is kind of odd. But, then I started to really work and hone that skill and connect with them and really get my energy to align with them as I learned more about, my past lives as druids, what part of my path and purpose was here, and really kind of to say, okay, I'm going to share their knowledge and my gifts with the world because it's all about how each of us can help each other to really kind of, grow and live that amazing life.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so basically, you dipped your toe in the water and it just took roots one step at a time. And
Yeah.
now, I think you said you were you were now leading with the Druids for a very long time, right? And then,
Mhm.
from what I saw here, and then, yeah, but so it just goes to show, like, it takes whatever times it takes for us to take those
Mhm.
next steps. I mean, myself included. I mean, there's so many things like you're like, well, maybe that's for, down the road. Like even me starting, like working online and stuff and being in my own business while I was working other, my, in counseling and everything as a therapist and stuff. Yeah, I was like, I just kept saying, well, I just need to do this for a while, and then eventually I'm going to do that. And I didn't wait that long compared to some people, but I always think like, well, probably didn't even need to wait that long necessarily, And
Mhm.
so, if you feel like that, because that's your work, right? You're helping
Mhm.
them to connect. How would somebody? For me, it was like. I just know like this whole job thing is not for me. Like I meant to be a business owner, entrepreneur type, and so it just and I meant to reach a lot of people and help a lot of people with my gifts and everything. And so it was just this knowing that I'm supposed to do that, and so I just kept progressively moving into that, doing my own private practice and locally at first, doing hypnosis, hypnotherapy and some spiritual work, right? So it's kind of like again, I had my own journey, and then eventually spiraled into online. But my point is, it was, me willing to listen to my guidance at my own pace. Probably, I would the best way of could put it, right? And
Yeah.
so, how can some people aren't really listening much at all, some more than others. So, how can we trust our nudges faster. What do the Druids have to say with that? Maybe at some point they'll have a message for us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me see, because they're always around me. Let me see what they
Yeah.
have to say on that. Um, what they're telling me to tell you is their input for this is that it's really about trusting yourself first, because your nudges are coming from your higher self, your guides, all those beings around you. But when you can trust yourself, that's when you're going to know when the time is exactly right. And I think that's important because I know I went through trust issues, and
Right.
especially beginning to open up psychically. I was like, it was so odd to me. But that is the big thing. You'll know when the time is right. And so many people, I think, live in the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And I
Yeah.
always tell clients, I'm like, okay, we can't live in that world. We have to live in that there was, you didn't do it then, and maybe you weren't
Yeah.
supposed to do it then. Maybe it was just supposed
Yeah.
to open you up to it or get you thinking about it, or
Mhm.
the opportunity wasn't right. But just look at now, what feels right and what resonates right within your heart and soul now.
Right.
And
Right.
that's when you know.
That's a great message because, yeah, I mean, I've been getting on the other side of it, but even in, where I am now, like with what I'm doing now, like I'm feeling this great sense of like expansion and fulfillment, like at another level. And so, but then my mind's like, why did it take me so long? It was there all along. I could have been doing this years ago. I could have been, how many ever years ago, right? And so long ago, it feels like. And so, yeah, the judge, again, we always, I always say the only thing we judge, suffer from is judgment, yet it
Hmm.
happens. So I'm
Hmm.
like, what was your problem? Why didn't you think of the most obvious thing you could have been doing and that kind of thing? And but it happened, like it doesn't, ultimately, it's like, okay, I mean, it almost doesn't matter because is what it is. So it's like, okay, whatever, for whatever reason, you weren't willing to see the most obvious thing,
Hmm.
and so, because I think like sometimes that's what the problem is. It's not that it's complicated. We can't figure out what our gifts are or this, that, and it's like it's more it's not always obvious, but like a lot of it is. There's a lot of
Hmm.
obvious things. Like
Hmm.
so when people say, I don't know what my next step is, like, okay, I can tune in and all that for them, but like I'll be like, well, what do you think the one next step is? And just one. Don't worry about the rest. What's the one next step? Everybody knows, right? Everybody knows the
Exactly.
one next step. And to
Right.
just take that step and just not have judgment around all this
Hmm.
stuff, right? I should be
Yeah.
further along. I've taken too long. And so I think that's a great message you're sharing
Hmm.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. When you talk about, the judgment or where I see everyone knows where they want to be at the end. And I'm like, take the first step. Maybe the first step is finding a little more balance in your life or whatever that could be. Because you're right. The more you just take those one steps forward, pretty soon you're going to notice that you're probably running to the finish line of where you want to be because it's just natural to you. You're just naturally doing those things because that's where you're supposed to go. But the ego is so involved sometimes, and some people have it more involved than others, where it's saying you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, that's not safe, or you won't make enough money, or whatever the answer
Right.
is.
Right.
And so that's the challenge, is how to get that part to kind of just calm down so your soul can speak a little more.
Well, you want to be a healer and make a lot of money? Well, first of all, you'll be persecuted, you'll be stoned to death or whatever. You'll be burned at the stake. And you cannot make a lot of money if you're a healer. I remember like talking to people about like, part of my thing is helping, people that are energy healers and whatnot to get clients and so to speak, or have clients and make money and prosper and everything. And I remember when I first started that, like, there were so many voices coming to me at that time anyway, saying, "Oh, healers are all like the broke type of people. You don't want to work with those at that time,
Hmm.
especially like you don't want to work with those kind of people. You're never going to make any money trying to help them." I'm like, "Yeah, but like it's just yeah, no, I that's where I because it was mine to do, right? And like I'm not saying I made everybody a millionaire at all, and whatsoever, not even close. But like I
Right.
help people at least to raise vibrationally, own their gifts, and I'm still doing it, but I'm just saying like at that
Well,
time, like so and help people start getting more clients. Sometimes really to thrive and prosper in a really much
Mhm.
deeper way. And at a minimum, that they're having more fun doing what they're doing. I had
Yeah.
somebody on my podcast. I like to, again, keep cross-referencing, but I had Carmen Cronquist on my show. She took energy scan training from me back in 2008. And back then, she was doing three other jobs, trying to get
Mhm.
by. Now she's like, doing corporate keynotes and this and that. She's an energy healer. She does all of it. She does all this stuff, right? She's prospering like crazy. It seems like anyway. I mean, she's doing well, and like it just it just takes the time it takes, and everybody's on their own timeline, and so that's something I've had to surrender to because I am a manifesting generator. Fire
Mhm.
energy is pretty strong inside it within me, and so I'm like, no, they get it done today, but yesterday does it, indirectly, it's sort of like, well, can I just do it at my own pace?
Yeah.
No, you gotta do it at my pace. Like, I had too much of that insistent early on, and like I've had to, and I even dip into it every once in a while again. I'll be like, and then my clients always correct me. They're like, you're like a different person right now. You're being so hard on me right now. Because I'm trying to maximize their potential, right?
Yeah.
And that's not always, doesn't always feel fun and nice all the time. But
Mhm.
there's another way, there's a lighter way to bring people into everything. And
Mhm.
and so my clients sometimes when I go too far that way, they bring me back into that water, flow
Mhm.
energy more, which everybody loves, right? And then they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh no, that feels good. Yeah, thank you." Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, we kind of get guided if we listen, right? So
Yes, we definitely can. And it's just the listening, I think sometimes is the hard part,
mm,
and most people know what they should do, like you said, they know that first step, but they have to come back to trust and just be willing to take that first step. So,
yeah. Yeah, so I feel like we're getting drops of the Druid wisdom from you, without us saying like, "Oh, that was the Druids" or whatever. But I can feel it when it comes through. I'm like, "Oh, that's the Druids." Yeah. So,
yeah, I've tapped in a lot to them, and so people will say that was probably more from them than you, and I can agree with
right.
that. Especially today, during, while we're talking here, I'm kind of open fully to them. So yeah, there's a lot dripping through.
I remember when I first started opening up more energetically, I remember being on this the Ferris wheel down in Chicago here, right? Like I'm on there and I'm like I forget what I said about the girlfriend I had at the time. I'm like, I just said something, and she was real spiritual. And I'm just like, blah, 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 whatever came through. I get this tone came through, and she's like, you didn't just say that, something else did. Like, I was like, oh, I guess, I wasn't fully cognizant of it all, but it was
Yeah.
just that I was opening more, and so you'll find, like, we all will find, like, yeah, we're channels, we're constantly channeling it and stuff, right? So like just to notice when the frequency changes and whatnot, like, oh, it's just
Yeah.
interesting to notice, like,
Yeah.
well, where did that come from, and maybe you'll realize, wow, that feels like a guide or whatever,
Hmm.
something like that, whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, trust yourself. I got that right on my desk, right here, like it's always here.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
It's got me through my first, I always say, got my first 1,000 energy scans, just like as part of my process. I always have this in my hand, to get started in the process. Like, trust, trust, trust. I always laugh. It was never really this bad, but I'm like, I just keep crushing this. Because I was talking to people on phone calls and stuff. Like, I mean, I couldn't even see them. So it's like, am I even talking to anybody real? Am I hallucinating everything? Like, it was that bad, It's
Oh,
crazy. Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
So, so yeah, there's a lot of trust. I had people, signing up and giving me money, and I, never had seen them, and then maybe I'd offer a live event, and I finally get to meet them, right? So like, oh, okay, like, so lots changed, but so anyway, I could go on and on. You're good at helping people to talk. All right, so let's talk about let's talk more about, like, yeah, the work, the way you help people. You mentioned about your um I know you have different things. So you've got a podcast going to be on, by the way, talk about cross
Yes,
promotion. So I'm going to be on
yes,
that. I know you also, you've got YouTube and whatnot, and I know on your YouTube you got, you're doing the channeling for the Druids. Trust me, guys, you want to go check it out. You will like it. Yeah, I promise you. And if you go there and you say you wasted my time, Daniel, like just let me know. But I don't, it's not going to happen. You're going to absolutely love it. So go check out her channeling. But what are some of the other, I know we're going to talk about your 12-week program in a moment.
mhm,
We're going to get into that. What are some of the, and then I'm going to be on your, yeah, like I said, your podcast.
yes.
It may not be out by the time, it's going to be a few months before I'm on that, but when this airs. But what are some of the other ways that people are able to connect with you? Let's just get that done now, in case people
Yeah.
are already like, I want to connect with her.
Yeah, yeah. So, the ways you've already mentioned, I'm on YouTube, social media, I have a newsletter, all of those. But, the one thing that I always tell people, like, if you're resonating right now with, ooh, I want to talk to her, I want to find out more about her, I do offer a free session called The Moment to Connect. It's 20 minutes where we can just jump on and, you can feel my energy, get to know me a little more. I can get to know where you are in your journey and decide what is right for you. Because there are a lot of different ways that are there. So that would be the one thing that I would suggest. But everything else, I'm on social media. I do events and classes around, the Midwestern area. Some of them are online. And sign up for the newsletter on my website. Because if you subscribe to that, I also answer channeling questions for people each week. So people submit questions and I channel each week, and those you can find on YouTube. But it can also be a fun way for you to see, like, hey, I have this, question about, that I want to see what the Druids have to say. So,
Yeah, and you have a free cool gift too with we talked about elements.
mhm.
So we've got coned. Is it coned or
Connect.
connect? Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, it's the way it's typed. Okay. So connect with the elements meditation. And so we'll put a link in for that, but it's all at thechannelledsource.com. So but yeah, we'll put in the actual specific link for that in the show notes as well. So you'll find it all in the show notes.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Catherine, yeah, and you gotta, listen, watch how I can be out of control talking, but I'm extra out of control with someone like Catherine because she's just so awesome. You just feel like, yeah, I want to share a lot with you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks.
So let's talk about, yeah, as we talk about your business more in depth and then help you with, you know, d doubling. And even though you've got really wonderful momentum happening overall with your business, and that's great because I met you back when you weren't even doing any of it, and then like, oh yeah, I'm tired of getting it going. Right? Now it's like, wow, it's starting the momentum, and so now it's like, okay, but now how can we even allow more to happen? So I know you mentioned your 12-week program. It's called, I believe, Journey Through the Elements, correct? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like your flagship offer. I mean, you probably offer other things, but it's like
Yeah.
your flagships or
Yeah.
signature or whatever offer. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. That's the one that really allows you to lean into the elements the most, get sessions of channeling, energy healing. We talk about your astrology chart as well. It's kind of like the big, well-rounded thing where you get all of the aspects of me and the tools that are in my toolbox, as I tell people.
Hmm. Great. So yeah, so that's wonderful. And then so it's a group and it's six, it's 6 rounds with you over 12 weeks. And does it include some other sort of support, or is it basically just the group, or how
Yeah.
does it work? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're one-on-one sessions. The
Oh, they're
six
one to
sessions.
one.
Yeah, they're
Sorry, I thought it
one-on-one.
was a
Yeah,
group for
no,
some
that's
reason.
okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what's next. I'm usually channeling
Yeah,
whatever's
you
next.
never know. At some point, it will go to a group. But they're one-on-one sessions each week where we meet for an hour. The first one's 30 minutes, just kind of as a, hey, it's called the gateway, getting ready to get into it. But what it does is it allows you to kind of connect in, but then you also get the resources such as I'm available every week. I call it office hours. So anyone who is part of the program can jump in and ask questions or check in. Sometimes I will have, we'll have a full group on there. Sometimes there'll just be one person on there. So it just kind of depends where everyone is. So that is offered to you. It also allows for, I'll send out additional, I'll give you daily rituals and information based on where you are, so you might notice an email from me, so, an afternoon after we met, like, hey, I'm feeling this, give this a try. So it's really just kind of that one-on-one connection of where I am that really allow for you to get the most from the druids and the knowledge that I hold and a lot of the support that I can give. So it's a really, really fun program. And I always say, it took me, 5 years to to do this program myself and build it. And so now I'm taking my experiences and really helping people kind of move forward a lot faster on the path than what it took me.
And you mentioned so there is a group,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, so there's a group of people that are who was ever a part of the Journey Through the
Mhm.
Elements program. They will jump on the one, or they'll jump on office hours calls, or they have the option to
Office
jump
hours.
on that call. Yeah. So that one is more of a group call, but your individual session with each of the element is
Yeah.
one-on-one. Yeah, for now.
Got
As you mentioned, it may be a group some way down the road, but for right now, they're one-on-one sessions. Yeah.
it. Okay. I know I was getting a group from somewhere for sure.
I think you're seeing into the future,
Yeah,
Daniel, because
yeah,
that was
yeah,
always my thought. I'd love to make this, a retreat, a collaborative
yeah.
experience, where we can really kind of, lean into it and really spend time with each of the elements. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, so what is it that so it's usually is smart to again, this is for everybody listening. Um, maybe it's obvious to some people, they've heard this before, but it usually is better to work with people one to one when we're building up the business because you get so much more a sense of like your tribe, the people you're helping by going one to one. When they're in a group, yeah, you still get some of that, right? But it's just different and you're not
Mhm.
getting as deep and intimate in a sense, with each person. And then you don't, see some of the you get the pattern recognition and we talk about right like when you start seeing the pattern recognition everybody's saying this or everybody's saying that and then to know them more deeply really helps you to when you go to do some other offers or turn it into a group like you've got all that wisdom and knowledge like you've already started to build an energy nucleus for that group so that's part of the benefit of starting with one-to-ones.
Mhm.
I'm not like, oh, you have to always start with one-to-ones, but like that can be a big benefit of it. I usually recommend it. And then the other nice thing about it is it's usually a lot easier to work with, right? Like, okay, all I need is one person right now, and we'll get started right away, right? Whereas a group,
Yeah.
usually there's a start date. I mean, sometimes there's rolling in admission, but like there's a start date, and then like, oh my God, I only have one person in it. How is it gonna? Oh my God. Then it creates fear and concerns, and
Yeah.
like so when you're starting off, and then whereas once you're in the if ready for doing a group, it'll be easier to fill. The other thing is like you tend to make more money faster with the leverage of one to one if you
Mhm.
done properly. Like so if you charge more, for one to one, then you get the leverage of like, yeah, well, I'm only doing one to one, but charging more than I would have for the group. So
Mhm.
you're able to build your money faster in that sense because, you know, most people aren't willing, we got to start somewhere and having those premium clients to start with that are paying
Mhm.
more. Well, all I need is like, if you charge enough, like you have one or two clients sign up in a month and you're fine. I mean,
Mhm.
like for at least you can pay your bills a little bit, right? To get started, like
Yeah.
then we can add a abundant, or you can pay your bills maybe in some cases, but depends on how much you charge, and then you
Mhm.
can kind of keep building from there. So.
Mhm.
So with the what you have, I think that's great that you have those office hours as well as an added like feature, and then you've got the one-to-one sessions. So I'm gonna ask the big question, which is always like, like how much do you charge for this thing? right now?
Yeah. So the 12 weeks, the one-on-one sessions, all of that included is $2,222.
Okay.
So, really allowing for you to have, you could have up to, 12 sessions, or no, that'd be 18 sessions if you hit every week in office hours and your six elemental sessions as well. So it's a
Right.
pretty good
Okay.
value.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, I like repeating numbers a lot of times too, and I don't always use them in my offers, but yeah, I like the repeating number thing. So let's see. Okay. Um. All right, so I'm going to come back to that actually. Let's talk about like when you said, yeah, I always thought it's going to be a group, retreats, all that. So, tell me more about, I'm going to ask like a direct question, like, why do you think you're not doing that already? Like, even though I said I made all the good case for doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
still, usually it's like, because I get guided to your sacral-ish, maybe power center too, but like where the feeling comes up around doing that.
Mhm.
To me, the first thing I get is visibility. Oh, I'm even more exposed feeling about that somehow. So what are your like conscious awareness around why? Because I feel like, I'm not saying it's wrong what you're doing at all, but like I'm saying like I get a feeling like it could have happened already potentially.
Mhm.
So I want to know more about what's held that back that you know about.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of it stems from that, this is a journey I'm going through as well. I think all of us are continuing to grow and change. And so, some of it is that this is a program that I kind of just put together. It kind of came to me one day, as I was, putting, thoughts down, and then I wrote a workbook about this program, and then all of a sudden I see this workbook I published and I'm like, well, this is a one-on-one session. This can become even bigger. And so I see it as a group, and I say why I haven't gotten there yet is I'm still, as you said, kind of fleshing it out a little bit, making
Yeah.
sure that it fits, wanting that consistent. And I have the bandwidth to do one-on-one. So if I have the bandwidth and the time, it's like I want to be able to offer myself to people in that way, knowing that at some point I'm not going to have the time in my
Right.
day. So then
Right.
it will maybe go more towards a group, or maybe it'll evolve into something else.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm thinking and where I'm at right now. But
Right.
you definitely see, or you saw where I want it to go someday.
Yeah, yeah. So, s- so you said good value when you said 2222. So you're charging to where it's like, all right. I mean, like it's not under $1,000 or, something crazy low, for an offer. So that's great. And then, with that particular offer, like if you have, do you consistently find people are signing up for that these days? Yeah.
Yeah, there's been, thoughts. I've read a lot of things about, people don't want to sign up for bigger packages or bigger things. What I'm finding is the clients that come for the one-on-one channeling sessions, they always go, okay, what's next? Like, I need more integration, more support. And so it turns into, hey, let's look at this package. Or people that are feeling that there's just something missing in life, but
Right.
they can't, put their finger on it or lean into the
Right.
elements, that they're then coming forward saying, hey, I'm ready to step more into this now.
So they start like with a single channel session with you usually, or do some people go to the moment to connect right into it, like right into the 12 weeks?
Yeah, it really depends on the person. I've had it go both ways. I've had them just jump in and sign up for the 12 weeks. I've had them just sign up for the channeling, and then I've had other people that will do the moment to connect and will, maybe, attend different things or reach out, with
Hmm.
questions for the weekly channeling for subscribers, and then all of a sudden they'll book. So it really just varies on the person. I can't say that there's one way that everybody goes.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
try to offer stuff that or enough that can support everyone on their journey.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So just looking at all the ways it does happen, and then, um, so how many people? So I will ask this question. how many people on average do you meet with, let's say in a week or a month or whatever your best metric is that you want to share with me that get on those we're talking business now. So
Yeah.
for this moment to connect calls with you, which people don't get scared off by all this. Like she's
Mhm.
obviously like not a pressure salesperson. So, but like yeah, I'm just wondering how many of those you have set up per week, per month, however you want to share that with me.
Yeah, it varies based on, what I've been on. The best metric that I have that I can say, my big month, I probably had 25 or 30 people that signed up for it. There was a lot of me being out there, on
Yeah.
podcast or
Yeah.
doing teaching or doing things.
Mhm.
But that was one of the good ones. And it goes up and down, but there's always, a really good handful of people every month, between there and then, the high side. So
Okay.
it's been good.
Okay. So if you could recreate 25 to 30 per month, would you feel like, oh my God, I'm exhausted doing that many all the time? Or would you be like, "Man, that'd be great. I'd love that."
Yeah. It'd be great. What I find when I meet with people, not necessarily
Mhm.
just clients, but, in a moment to connect session, channeling session, or even this session, us talking
Mhm.
here,
Mhm.
it invigorates me. I get a
Yeah.
lot of energy from it.
Yeah.
And so I don't find that it drains me at all, that I just am like, ooh, like, I feel really good during it and after it.
Mhm. Okay. So if that's true, then the first thing always is like just getting very intentional, right?
Hmm.
So the feeling I'm getting intuitively is there's things that are distracting you from getting this core foundation locked in, not just like we get a big blip and then it's like six the next month or whatever, the ups
Yeah.
and downs that we go through. For me, whenever like with energy scans and stuff that I do, like my schedule is packed and booked, when I am being intentional about getting it filled. If I'm like, well, let's see, like kind of a little bit more, like we'll just flow, more watery or whatever, or airy, then, who knows how many people I'll have on my schedule, right? And then
Yeah.
that changes outcomes, financially and how many people I'm helping. So having a getting like more direct, I want to say more masculine on it, but like yeah, more like that's it. I'm gonna have 25 a month, or having it sort of like it doesn't have to be that mentally held strong, but like it's more like an intention. Like
Hmm.
I want to fill it all the time. I want to like 25, 30 every month. Like,
Hmm.
um, so first of all, are you open to that? Did you feel like that is helpful when you do that? Like from a place of connection and abundance, of course, not just mentally, but just feeling the energy. Like, I just love doing those moment to connects. I want 25 for me, I love doing energy scans for the act of it itself. I
Hmm.
don't have to have people sign up for it to feel awesome, right? Like
Hmm.
it's okay. In fact, I celebrate when people don't sign up too, because, oh, you're not fit. All right, great. You're
Yeah.
fit. Okay, great. Right? Like that mentality is really magnetic to let everything flow, right?
Hmm.
So do you think you could take on that practice of like just, you know, knowing you don't know if it'll fill for sure, but like just having an attitude, yeah, it's
Hmm.
filling every month, 25 to 30, just to start. And then we could talk strategy, all that. All right, we're getting there. But
Yeah.
like, can you just take that on as like the intention going forward and give it a strong focus, like every week, maybe almost every day, like I don't know, but at least every week, like having that focus. Like for me, it's daily. It's like, okay, how many we have? All right, I'm booked out for the next, whatever month. But like,
Yeah.
how about next month? What about the next month? Like I'm like I think of it that way. Like, no, we're not done. Like no, no, never
Yeah.
done, never done.
Exactly.
For me, it's energizing. It's not exhausting because I think
Hmm.
it's like if you need something you love, of course anything could be overdone. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
say if it's something you love, it's like no more.
Mhm.
So that's what I would recommend is that you get that clear, and if you do, I promise you'll get more bookings for sure.
Okay.
But by that alone, you'll get
Yeah.
more bookings. But
Yeah.
just with the focus.
Absolutely. I will definitely put that focus in there. Yeah. Thank you
Well,
for that. I
cool.
love that.
Cool. Cool. And then seeing as podcasts are part of what, you mentioned anyway, what worked,
Hmm.
then that's what you want to do is everywhere you go and you're like, Okay, what other podcasts can I speak on? Podcast. You should ask, be asking, which maybe you do, but like you should be asking me, you should be asking every single host you talk to. Hey, I'm looking for more podcasts to get on, and some of us are gonna be like, we know so many people, we don't know who to refer you to.
Yeah.
And somebody else will
Uh-huh.
say, yeah, I know, and they'll send you to 10 podcasts, and somebody else one or two, right? And and for a whole week, like nobody else sent any, like
Mhm.
it comes and goes, right? So it doesn't matter, but you'll find like when you're stacking so many opportunities, I think people are afraid they'll get overwhelmed and get exposed too. Sometimes, even especially in the beginning, but like overall. And so what I'm saying is, you're gonna get exposed. You'll learn from the sense of exposure. Like, oh my God, that wasn't comfortable. That was okay. Great. What did you learn about that? What needs to shift inside, right? So learn that stuff as fast as possible. So you stack it up faster then, right? Like let's move through the
Yeah.
lessons faster, right? So get on as many podcasts as possible. Maybe set a target. I think that's something you easily can set a target for. So
Yeah.
if you that month that you got to 25 to 30, what were you on? I don't know. Maybe around 5, 10, 10 maybe, right? 10 podcasts. I don't know. How many podcasts would your target be to be on per month?
Yeah. Ideally, I'd like to be on 2 to 3, because I also teach in person, and that drives in a lot of,
Okay.
new people as well that book those sessions. So, and
Right.
I try to teach at least once a month, if not twice a month too. So, yeah,
Okay.
that's always my target. So, yeah, you even grabbed the question I was going to ask you at the end, when we were finished, if there's anyone else you can, send me over
Right.
to or refer to me to, I love
Yeah.
it. So I loved you already brought that up because that was on
Yeah,
my
well, she
list
might
for
already
when.
be doing that, but I'm gonna find out. Yeah. So, but what do you teach? How does that work? Because people might be like, well, you teach, right? Where do you teach? I want to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, so I teach at a few different centers,
Okay.
both in Dubuque, Iowa, and then in the Chicagoland area. I go to, and randomly you'll see me at like I was in Salt Lake in January, but I teach a few different things. One will be, channeling. What is channeling, the basics of channeling, for people, because I do believe everyone can channel. And then I've also taken, created a course about the elements. So, really aligning to the elements to connect in with your life purpose. So that's the series that I've been doing lately.
Mhm.
So you can find those on my website of where I will be and when. And then if there's anyone that says, "Hey, it'd be great to have you at a center," I'm always open to, people saying, "Hey, I'd love to have you teach here." As long as I can get there,
Right.
to be able to just share the knowledge that I have with other people as well.
Yeah. So yeah, you always again like okay, are there months you're still seeing not enough bookings, so to speak, to hit the target? So it's like, am I hitting the target or not, kind of thing. Are you still not seeing enough bookings, even though you did your teaching, you were on the 3 podcasts, and it's still in booking? Do you
Yeah.
ever see that?
Yeah, I think there's been months where I've seen
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
and I've
yeah.
had to really look back and say, okay, what was going on in my life? Where was my
Yeah,
energy at?
right.
I'm always about, looking internally, because I believe
Mhm.
everything is a mirror. So yeah, I've
Yeah.
had that happen. I've also had months where I've looked back and I'm like, I don't know what I did. I don't know what was
Right,
different,
right,
but it
sure, sure.
worked.
Sure, it's just
So
flowing in, right? It's
I
just
know.
still
I'm like,
coming
okay,
in.
can I
All
repeat
right.
that?
Yeah,
So
speak anywhere. It's still coming in.
yeah.
Yeah, sure, that can happen too. But so the consistency is like just get committed to
Yeah.
consistency, which a lot of people don't like to do that because they feel like it's going back to the corporate job. But like it's so true. It's like you just this is the stuff you
Yeah.
want though. This
It
is
is.
different. I'm saying that not just for you, but for everybody. Guys, it's the stuff you're gonna love to do. And if you're offering session, I'm afraid of this, I don't think this is true for you, but like brother, I'm afraid of selling. Oh, I don't want to have to make the offer, but I want clients. But like, well, again, there's no one way to make an offer to somebody, right? Like
Right.
sometimes all I do is get people laughing, and next thing you know, they're signing up for something program or working
Mhm.
with me or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
although I do teach certain ways to enroll, but like, there's certain foundations you could learn from that are helpful, but like, a lot of it is just like you resonate with you, right? Like as you make an offer. And so you can make that as fun and as light as you want, and sometimes you need to be uncomfortable and make other people uncomfortable.
Hmm.
But so to just dance with all of that and it's part of your elemental dance, Catherine, and for everybody
Hmm.
else. So,
Yeah.
there's elemental selling and all that stuff out there, but so yeah, there's also that. But yeah, so and then as far as like what you're charging for your current container, like yeah, I feel like by next year-ish, I could see you doing a group, like a full-on group.
Hmm.
Um, and then I also can see you doubling the price of because I told you I'd say this, right? I would say just double the price of what you're offering and you'll double your revenue. I mean, like that's the basic one, but I want to hit the other stuff too. For you, it's like realizing like the flip in the energy is like, I'm not going to be exposed. I'm going to be, which is another one you're uncomfortable with still, but you'll be more revered, which you are revered by some people. Like, I'm going to be revered. I'm going to be honored. Maybe that's a word that can, land better for you. Hey, I'm cool to be honored, and yeah, I like some of the reverence, but like, I don't know, I feel a little it's comfortable. Like, but like honored, I'm honored I'm honored to do the work that I'm honored by the people that I serve. That feels good, okay? And then
Yeah.
just put it in the frame that works for you, where it feels yummy, so that when
Yeah.
I see the energy in the sacral and the lower power center, like it feels like, yeah, it's a little tight still, but it's opening up more. It's like, oh yeah, maybe yeah,
Mhm.
like, and so yeah, the more you can um realize like it is all happening, but you have to actually, you know, like because I see the lazy river kind of energy going on, or you're on the
Mm.
waterway. It's like, oh, it's just happening. But yeah, remember, you need to keep like, all right, we'll have this, we'll have that, because you've got that really good. You got that really
Yeah.
good in you, and you just need more, you do need more of that in your business, in my opinion. So, but it's
Okay.
getting better. Just getting
Yeah.
better.
Well,
So,
thank you. Yeah, I've been working a lot on it, so thank you.
all right, so I can feel like I could go on for a lot longer, right? Going on about all this stuff because it's part of what I love to do, intuitive business coaching and scanning a little bit. So today, Catherine, what's your biggest one or two biggest takeaways from what I just shared with the coaching and sharing, that the things that resonate the most? Like, yeah, that's a key. I'm gonna be getting on that one.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is, about looking at it as being reverenced or honored. I'm not a
Mm.
salesperson and I never want to
Hmm.
push, but I do want to help people. And so really shifting that energy around there, I think will be because, I always say I'd like to be in the background. I like to be hidden. But it's about really getting out there so people can understand how the druids can support them and the elements can support them. And I'm the person that they're working with to bring that forward. So thank you for that. That's a really big one that's going to stick for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is just you could totally nidge up for sure, or take it at a whole nother level. The number of podcasts you get on, the
Mhm.
teaching, I don't know, that could get exhausting for you going all over the place. You might think it's energizing, but eventually it might crash you. So if you go too hard on that, like, oh, let's do 10 in person per month, there's a limit to everything, of course, but like there's more involved with traveling and everything, and it's fun, but it can also get to be a lot. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely got a feeling like you could do more on the podcast too. So
Mhm.
okay, fantastic. So I'm just gonna let everybody know if you want to reach out to me or connect with me, go to yoursacredpurpose.com. You can use the contact form too if you're like, hey, I want to receive some of what you just gave Catherine for my business, and even take it deeper if because I do take it deeper on a. When I work with people personally, we go deep dive. Obviously, this is a more brief. But you can do that just by going to my website, your sacredpurpose.com. And then also opt in for the free gifts. Get the meditate and make money. That's the easy one. There's a lot of power in the flow of just asking your guides and getting the energy centers opened up to receive the guidance first. And so you could take advantage of that. Then you get to learn about like how all the next podcasts, when the next amazing next guest is coming up, whether it's Neil Donald Walsh, who we've had on twice, or whoever, or, some of these other people I've been talking about. So you definitely want to know about those. And I share, content through my emails that, a lot of times isn't a pitch, and then we definitely do plenty of promotion because we're trying to help people like Catherine and everybody else that we might promote, so including myself, but let you know, let me make you aware. But there's a lot of value emails that you get from me, so you can grab all that at yoursacredpurpose.com. Just go ahead, have some fun, do it. You'll have fun doing it, trust me. Okay, so Catherine. I'm just so grateful you were willing to come on. I always like so grateful for the people that are willing to come on the show for this type of segment because you're being a little bit vulnerable. You're opening yourself up more. But honestly, there's somebody thinking like, I like her, and they deepened, during that segment, and they're probably even more interested now. So I'm
Yeah.
just so grateful that you're willing to come on the show today and that you shared all the great things you shared as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being on here, and for the the support and the ideas you gave me as well. I really appreciate that.
Sure thing. My pleasure.
Mhm.
Okay. And for everybody tuning in, like I always say, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.